everybody.
Chongo 68.
Hang on. I got to get my lamp going.
Mexican Spec. Danny Boyd. How is everybody tonight? Dakota. Yes, happy Sunday. Joe K.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
You got it?
Yeah. There we go. We've got our Sunday night live lamp going.
Nice. David James.
It's the birds. This is like an Alfred Hitchcock
Fubar.
movie. Fubar, what's going on? It's like literally like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. There's thousands of birds all over the place here.
Okay. Bill McKiska, Numbnuts, Ford LTD. Greetings from Texas. Let's see. Mexican Spec says, hi, Kathy and Tony, I guess. What's the matter? You mad at Tony?
No, it's really us.
Uncle Squirrel. J. Russell Finch. Stevie B, Peter Kovac, C. Roma. What's up, Charlie?
Uncle Squirrel. Has anybody heard from Uncle Brian?
No, I don't think so.
He's like gone, isn't he?
Don't worry about it.
I feel
Seymour,
bad.
Chris Freemesser, Tom Schumann, William Kavanaugh, New Guys Garage,
What's happening, man?
Paul Capizzola, Jesse Baruch. Greetings from Los Angeles.
New guys, have you heard from Uncle Brian at all?
Probably not.
I saw you had that match race against B&R Racing.
That was pretty funny. If you haven't seen that video, go over to New Guys
Yeah, go to New Guys Garage.
and watch his call out.
His call out against B&R Racing.
Pretty
B&R
funny.
showed up. They showed up.
Yeah, happy Sunday, Wheelie King. So how's everybody's weekend? Busy?
We've been building a chicken coop all day.
Oh, okay. David James is asking how the car ran.
How the car ran?
Yeah, we were supposed to go to the track yesterday.
It got rained out
It poured
yesterday.
all day. Yeah, rained
Rained
out.
yesterday.
Unfortunately, we were ready to go. You Guys Garage says, nope, he gone. Laugh out loud, and thanks for reminding me about that embarrassing loss. Yeah, we're sorry, man.
Hey, it happens.
What's up, Joe Brennan? Bobby,
Good girl, Lily.
1964.
Lily just made good girl.
Bobby 1964 says, I'll listen while putting headers on the 273. I hate headers. Let's see, Chris Greenaway. Rocco B says, greetings from Toronto, Canada.
Greetings.
Eric Uvan, Uncle Tony, what did you do with Peg's leg?
You know, I never met this Peggy.
No, we did meet him.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did meet him. We didn't steal his leg, though. For the people that are new here, he only has one leg, and he made a joke that we stole his leg, but we didn't. So it's kind of an inside joke for the new folks.
For the new folks.
There might be some new folks here tonight.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Casey Henson, sorry came in late. Has Black Ghost already been discussed? No, we just
Nope.
we've only been on for 3 minutes and 31 seconds. Not yet.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, in 3 minutes it hasn't been
Yeah.
discussed.
Not mentioned.
I have
Are you okay?
2 weeks ago. We were working in Crystal's backyard,
Yeah, nobody
and I
cares.
got bit by something. What?
Nobody cares.
Well, but I mean, I'm going to be going like this through the whole night because I got bit by something 2 weeks ago, right in the middle of my back that I can't reach with anything.
It's okay. All right, don't scratch it. Let's see. What's up, Charlotte calling? Yes, I remember you. Charlotte is a he.
I know.
Yeah. Someone has some seedlings going. I do. Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
leftovers. Actually.
They're leftovers.
Yeah.
Nobody loves them.
No, those are cherry tomato plants.
What are you gonna do with them?
I don't really have room for them. Like, I'm out of room. I planted everywhere.
The garden is coming in beautifully.
It is starting to come in beautifully. Let's see.
Those birds.
How's your weekend going? How is our weekend? How's your weekend, Rescued and Restored Garage? How's your weekend, Tony?
What's a weekend? The only way that I
All the
know.
days are the same.
The only way that I know it's a weekend is that we do this.
Right.
This is my indication that it's a weekend, that we go live on Sunday night.
Tony, you bastard. I emailed you yesterday about the 71 Super B. That's a real story car. I actually did see that email.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kathy
we
sees
got
it.
a
I don't
couple
see emails. I don't see emails. I don't see private messages. And
I'll tell him about it. It's just been a little busy.
there's only a handful of text numbers that I recognize and answer.
I will show it to him. You gonna miss your Plan Z fix this week, Willie King? Yeah, it was pouring yesterday.
It's coming. Wait till you see my creative solution to getting heat to the intake. It's beautiful. It's as simple as could possibly be. I just hope it works.
Stevie B says, like the Sunday Live, it's a perfect end to the weekend. Thanks. Thank you. Let's see. Kevin L. Tony, A-body brakes, ignoring wheel bolt pattern. Kelsey Hayes versus the later A-body single pistons. Which do you prefer?
Oh, the Kelsey Hayes are a pain. There's always an issue with the Kelsey Hayes brakes. So I would prefer the later ones. The only reason I would say stick with the Kelsey Hayes brakes is that you've got a small bolt pattern car, and that's what it came with, and you want to keep it small bolt pattern. Other than that, there's no reason.
You guys need to send messages via Uber to his shop for him to see it. Who? That's Mexican Spec. I don't know. Who are you talking about?
I have no idea. Maggie, are we safe now? Did you protect us?
D2 says, Tony, do you think maybe the Black Ghost had a set of 430 or 456s that made it so fast? Multiple question marks.
No, it had a super track pack. It had a 410 gear, but I mean that only goes so far.
Kiwi's in the house.
Kiwi, what's happening, brother man?
Customs. If you're not sub to Kiwi, go sub to Kiwi.
Yes, sub to Kiwi.
He's much better than we are.
He's done with the. He was going to shampoo carpets for every 10th new subscriber that he had. Yeah. He was going to go over and shampoo your carpets, and now I think he's running an acupuncture special. I'm not sure. I have to talk to him about it.
Is he doing acupuncture?
I think he's doing acupuncture.
Okay.
Well, he is a Kiwi.
Oh.
You see.
Do they know a lot about acupuncture?
No.
That was more of a
Oriental
type.
It's an Asian thing, yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Right.
Let's see. Mitten Made Muscle, hello. He says the Black Ghost wasn't, quote, so fast, end quote. He raced average cars that weren't that fast. Then his story was exaggerated.
And that's the stuff that legends are made of. Definitely. You know, you have a car that's moderately fast, and you go out and you race cars that aren't so fast. And yes, absolutely, that's the stuff that definitely legends are made of. Folk songs are written about stuff like that.
Oh, okay, Mexican Spec. Yeah, he's saying, Tony says he doesn't read emails or private messages. The only way is to send a message via Uber for him to see them. Even that,
I don't. I keep my doors closed and locked and stuff like that, so nobody can come in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Pesto 360 is saying maybe Black Ghost just raced stock cars? Question mark. Perhaps that's the basis of the story? Question mark.
Yes, he probably raced. Look, I said it in the video. I am absolutely certain that he took the car out and he street raced it, and he went stoplight to stoplight and did all these other things, like every single other muscle car of that era and even this era. But that's not what legends are made of. There's no legend to that. There are people and cars that deserve legendary status that are completely ignored by the world, right?
Is this about semantics, or is this just about...
It's about a scam.
Okay.
It's about a scam.
Because people understand words differently.
Say that again?
I said different people understand certain words differently.
I guess.
You know, like what's a legend to you wouldn't be a legend to it, like a person who's just an average. A legend is something.
Aficionado. A legend is something that, by loosest definition, a legend is something that's bigger than life.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you take.
Hi, Ari.
What's happening, brother man? If you take Godfrey Quall's life, right? Take the car away. Take the car away. So, he was a paratrooper. He had the Purple Heart. he was a motorcycle cop, which in itself is a thing, okay? And he was a Green Beret. By definition, Godfrey Qualls is a legend. That's a legendary person who led an extraordinary life. But that doesn't make him a legendary street racer, and it doesn't make that car a legend in anybody's mind except for his friend. So when Godfrey gave the car to his son Gregory, he never mentioned anything about street racing. It was just, this is my old car. I love my old car, and I want you to have my old car. And he flipped him the title. That was it. It was his friend. And if you watch these videos, he's just an obnoxious, loudmouth type of guy, right? Who just, we were the fastest car out there. I used to sit there and tell him when to shift, right? I mean, it's just the most absurd stuff. But it was from that guy's recollection that this kid Gregory built this quote legend about this car. So I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. Go look at it yourself. And here's a big thing, and I didn't mention this in the video, right? Because it just didn't occur to me at the time. But I watched a lot of previous videos and clips before I made that video about the Black Ghost. And the kid Gregory had started making a documentary with his father when his father was still alive. There's video of Godfrey talking about his life in what he did in Vietnam and what he did. So the kid actually had not a single mention of street racing. So the kid had already actually started making a documentary about his father while his father was alive. The video's there, you could watch it. So then after the father died, the kid digs this car out. His father's friend starts telling him all of these stories about how it was a black ghost or whatever the hell, however he phrased the story. And then the kid latched onto that and turned it into this thing. So Mr. Qualls, Officer Qualls, while he was alive, never talked about this stuff because to him it was just something like, yeah, I went stoplight to stoplight sometimes. It wasn't a big deal. The kid made it a big deal based on what his father's friend had told him. And like I said, don't take my word for any of this. Go back and watch the videos and just piece it all together. You can see it all for yourself.
The ghost was selling the sizzle, not much steak there for that money.
What's up?
The ghost was selling the sizzle, not much steak there for that money.
It's a nice car. It's roachy. It needs a complete restoration. I would say that car is worth, honestly, the way it sits, it's worth about $200,000. It needs $100,000 worth of restoration. When all is said and done, it's a $500,000 car because it's a triple black Gator Grain RTSE. So in that respect, yes, the car is definitely valuable, but it's not worth $1 million. The story, in my opinion, the story was worth $800,000.
Chicken Glass says, I think a lot of people wanted the story to be true.
Yes, everybody wants that story to be true, but it's not. It's not true. It's just not. There are other stories out there, but nobody tells them. That's the sad thing about it, because there are legendary street racers out there. And a lot of them are black. So it's not even like, well, okay, well, here's the exception. This was the black street racer. No. I mean, Ron Lyles, Willie Robinson, the Chords, Levi Holmes is a friend of mine. All of these people, they're black. They're as black as it could possibly be. They were street racers. They are and were legends, but nobody pays any attention to them. It was just this kid came up with a good story.
So was that like one of the reasons that you really looked into it?
I looked into it because I don't like scams, So we live in a dishonest culture. We live in a dishonest society, right? From the top down. But you can only do so much about the dishonesty that happens in politics, the dishonesty that happens in media, and the corporate lies and shit like that, right? You can only do so much about that. because it's so much. But if everybody was to just take care of a little piece of the world, and in my life, my little piece of the world is muscle cars, Mopars, hot rods, drag racing, okay? So I feel it's my responsibility that when I see something that's like that, I have to call it out. And if everybody took that, if everybody in politics, when they saw something that was a scam or something that was bullshit, they called it out, well, and everybody who was in the medical field, when they saw something that was a scam or bullshit, they called it out. Well, if everybody called out what was in their little part of the world, we could change the whole freaking world, but we can't. So we don't, rather. So I feel it's my responsibility. When I see something like that, I got to say something about it. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense. Let's see. Tony for Senate 2024.
You'd find me hanging from a tree with gunshot wounds to the freaking head.
Funny. Why? Do you think that they
On
would
fire.
want you in politics, Tony?
They'd kill me. They'd kill me so many ways.
Let's see. Tony, one day, bottle rockets going to auction. I don't think so.
Nah.
No. Let's see. What's your opinion on roads lifters?
People always ask me about that. I mean, they're okay. They work. They do what they're supposed to do.
I knew Tony had connections.
Connections?
No, he knew a lot of people from New York.
No, I didn't know anybody.
He knew some people in New York. Let's see. So, Tony, next you're going to tell me that Herbie the Love Bug wasn't a rally champion?
Did I say that?
Did you say that?
I didn't say that.
Oh, my goodness. When's the next track day? The next day it's not going to rain.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we're not
hopefully
tied
next
up with
Saturday.
something else. But right now we have to get ready for power.
Got to get ready for power tour. We got like 3 weeks to go, and I started putting the front of the car back together again, and I stopped because people wanted to see that bushing. So I got the one side, I put the lower control and bushing, the lower control and back on the one side, and I left the other side off so that I could show the bushing and everything. But yeah, I gotta focus on the Charger. But we're planning to go next Saturday with Plan Z.
Oh wait, we are? Because I thought that we were working on the Charger.
We are, but I don't have any work to do with the
No,
car.
we're not going next Saturday. It's our granddaughter's birthday
Oh shit!
party. We're not going next Saturday.
All right, it'll be a couple of weeks before
Sorry,
we get Plan
guys.
Z back out again.
We do have a family.
Yes.
Let's see. How closely have you been following what DV has been doing on the 318? Have you learned anything from it?
Say that again.
How closely have you been following what David Bizarre has been doing on the 318? Have you learned anything from it?
I haven't had anything to do with this because this third party fourth party got involved in this thing. This Charles Savidio, who I don't know from a hole in the wall. When we started doing this, it was supposed to be me working with David and Andy, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is Charles Savidio's project. I don't know this guy. Now I'm supposed to send parts to Florida. So I've kind of like, the whole thing is so off the rails that I just kind of like stepped back from it. And I'm waiting for Andy to tell me what to do.
Andy, what should Tony do, Andy?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Andy to give me direction.
How about a family day at the track? The kids have been there before. The young one, she's a little too small.
No,
she
she's
doesn't really
not.
enjoy it. But she doesn't enjoy it. But also, it's one of our the grandkids' birthday.
I'll put her in the
so
car
she's
and do a
having
couple
party.
burnouts with it, and she'll be all.
Oh yes, she'll love that.
Sure, she will. She'll love it.
Okay. Let's see. Can we get a car tour?
Car
A
tour.
car tour. A tour of those cars? The cars that's behind Tony?
No,
No.
not now.
It's not.
We've done it. Go back and search videos. We've covered all of our cars.
Okay, so I noticed yesterday the headliner, there's a piece out of it,
Yeah.
and it's on the front seat.
I know.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah, it's Chunko headliners.
My
on the front
hands
seat.
were full so I couldn't get it out because I was busy doing something else. Like I had
I'm not
plants
worried
in my
about
hand. So that needs to be taken care of.
The Swinger, I think, is going to go.
You're gonna sell the Swinger.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull the motor because I want to use that motor for something else. But I think I'm going to pull the motor and get rid of the car because it's like
You're gonna pull the motor. You're not gonna sell a running car.
No. I'll just get rid of it as a roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an extraneous car. It's just an extraneous
We
car.
have too many cars that we just.
I have too many
drive.
cars. Too many cars.
And not everything's getting attention. Like when I saw that yesterday, I was like, "You've got so much
I know.
to take care of, and we just can't get to it."
I know. The Swinger as a car really has no place. The Swinger had a place before I got into the XJs, and now I'm into the XJs. We got the two of them, and I really don't have any use for the Swinger.
Mm.
So I think it's going to go. I like this car because it's all original, 6-cylinder, 3-speed on the floor. It's a clean, cool old car. I want to keep this for sure. Mrs. Landy, I definitely want to keep because I've had the car for so long, and I have plans for that for a hyper mileage build. Our Roadrunners are definitely staying. The Charger is definitely staying. The Swinger, I think the Swinger is a roach. I mean, you got to understand, we built that car, we built that car.
It's not as horrible as he's saying.
It is that horrible.
It's not as horrible as he's saying. There are plenty of people that would be totally happy to
They
make
would
that
be.
their daily.
They would be. But you have to understand that the Swinger we built literally here in this backyard on that grass, okay, out of leftover parts. I had a pile of parts that were not nice enough to sell. So I had bare unibody. I bought a load of cars. I bought like 3 cars worth of 70, 71, 72 Dart stuff, right? And one of them was a clean unibody. When I say clean, I mean it had a good roof, it had good rockers, decent quarters, right? And that's all it was. It was just bare stripped. And I had it back here. I brought it back here into the yard, and I says, I'm going to turn this into a car. So over the next year or two, I was selling a lot of Mopar parts. So I would always come across things that were not nice enough to sell, right? Like valance panel that was all dented up, or a trunk lid that had a thing in it, or whatever it happened to be, right? Glass that had gouges.
Not rotted stuff, just stuff
Not
that
rotted
wasn't
stuff,
perfect.
just not garbage, but not nice enough that I could list it and sell it and make it worth the effort of packaging it and sending it. So I had this whole stack of parts. Literally, we made a big stack of parts. Like, for instance, to give you an example, the grill. Okay, the grill that's in the car. Every single tab on it is broken. It's held in, I don't even remember how it's held in place. It's been so long now. It's been 10, 12 years since we put that car together. But like the grill, every tab on the grill is broken. I couldn't sell it. So I fixed it into the car somehow or another, and it stayed there, and it works fine.
It's been there for however long.
It's been there for however long. But if I took the grill out and tried to sell it, I couldn't get $10 for it because every tab is broken. Right. So the whole car is like that from one end to the other. And it served its purpose.
Says, hello, did I win the Swinger? Haha.
Zero?
Yeah, Zero wants to know if you won it.
Did he win the Swinger?
We'll think about it. We'll think about that. I haven't even sent him his t-shirts yet. Please. You're so backed up. Let's see.
So I think that car's going to... I want to use that short block for something else. So I'm definitely going to pull the motor out of it. I'm not certain yet, but I think that's what I'm going to do. Because it's like the flat spot on the wheel. I keep walking past it, and birds keep shitting on it, and it needs a bath.
The car?
And it's like, and it's like,
yeah. You like the Duster better? You like it because it's a stick.
I
miss driving a stick.
I like it because it's a Slant 6. It's original. It's a tight car.
Yeah,
it's a tight car. You drive it, and it's like, oh my God, this thing's brand new.
It's one of those tight survivors.
Right,
Whereas
exactly.
The Swinger is kind of
loose.
squeaky.
Yeah. The Swinger is a rattle trap.
Yeah.
With this thing hits the road. It feels like a brand new car.
Zero says, love you guys. We love you too. Dakota says, I'm going to send you all a message about the Swinger. Oh, you want the Swinger too, Dakota?
What do you want to get me for it? Kathy's going.
Relax.
No, I'll make a deal right now.
Are you serious?
Sure.
Why don't you put it on Mecum?
It's legendary.
It's legendary. My legendary daily driver.
It is a roach. It's a Bondo bucket. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. It does have paint on it.
But it's bad paint
Yeah.
over bad body
You
work.
could shine it. It'll last for a little bit. Kenny Boyd, I'll trade you my dent side truck for the Swinger.
No, no. I might consider a bike trade.
Oh no,
What?
we have too many bikes.
Don't tell me how many bikes I have. I know how many bikes I have. I might consider an interesting bike trade.
UTG auto auction, yeah. Joe Brennan says $250. $250.
Well, to be fair, now it has a 7 1/4 sure grip in it. The sure grip unit itself is worth 250, 300. So
SRP says I want that Belvedere.
no.
See, that's what you see. You would rather keep the Belvedere
Yeah.
and get rid of the Swinger.
Yeah, because the Belvedere I can do a lot of different things with.
Yeah.
The Swinger is just a driver.
Is this a rare option? It's all rare. And the Domino's gift card. You should get a Project Buick Riviera UTG.
No,
No?
no. I like Buick Rivieras, but no.
Let's see. Keep a car cover over the duster. Is the interior mint? At least put a sunshade in the window. The sun is brutal in the interior plastic.
No, it's not mint. It needs to be redone.
Yeah. The covers that are on there right now are okay.
Yeah.
Unless on the seats. But the headliner's falling apart.
Yeah.
That's got to actually come out. That's really the only place that's.
It's got a
really
hole in
bad.
it's got a hole in the floor about yay big on the driver's side from a windshield leak, but that's no big deal.
Tony, if you sign the Swinger, it'll get more money.
I'm not signing the car.
Another Fox 5-liter.
No, I don't want to add any more cars or any more projects. I'm trying to scale back. I want less stuff. I want to get rid of stuff. It's time to start lightening the load as I head into my twilight years.
I'll give Tony an Applebee's gift card for the Swinger. That's tempting. Jake Couch. You don't own your possessions, they own you.
Well, that's the truth. That's what happens. And that's exactly what happens with a car like the Swinger, where I really have no use for it. I have no desire for it, but it's demanding my attention. So it owns me right now. It's not going to pay me back. So.
Hey, UTG, I saw Scott at Cold War Motors sporting a UTG cap. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, he got that in the mail. He's a really nice guy. And his dog is very adorable. Tony, are you ASE certified?
No.
This person he's trolling you.
No, I'm not ASE certified.
That means you don't know anything.
It means I know nothing. I know
Right.
absolutely nothing.
Let's see. Two Hack says, I'm interested in it, Tony. You have a lot of people that want this Swinger.
Start making me offers. I'll make a deal right now. I swear to God. Let's make a deal right
Jumper
now.
says, push. Shade tree. You're a shade tree.
Yes, I'm a shade tree. Please, I'm not even a shade tree.
Tony knows nothing.
I know nothing. I bluff my way through all of this stuff. Before I do a video, I watch other people's videos on whatever it is, and I memorize the important stuff, and then I do the video. I don't know
Wikipedia.
any of this stuff.
Why not consider it? You might learn something. To
What's
get
that?
certified. You might learn something if you get certified.
Yes, of course. They don't have courses for the stuff that I do.
Right. You don't think he's GED certified?
I got my GED.
Tony graduated high school.
I didn't graduate from high school. I got thrown out of high school, but I got my
He has his
GED.
GED.
I got my GED, but I never saw it. I got my GED. I went down a flight because my parents forced me to get a GED, right? So I went to my friend Danny had moved down to Florida, so I went and I stayed with him for a couple of weeks, and I got my GED down in Florida, and I never saw it. I've never seen it. I got it, but I never saw it.
It's okay, Tony. You got it. What's up, Franco?
Franco, what's happening, man?
Oh, Tony, you got a GED? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony has a doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks. I don't know about that.
I've had a few hard knocks.
Everybody has. My folks wouldn't let me drop out of 11th grade. I'm sorry. Let's see. Do you like Buick Roadmasters 91 through 96?
Yeah. I mean, they're okay. They don't really float my boat. I like the earlier Buicks. I like 60s. I like give me a 72 deuce and a quarter. You know what I mean? Those are the Buicks that I like.
Let's see. You always mess with me on the B-body thing, No Jumper says. He was the one that was just trolling you about the ASE certified.
Oh, I don't have an ASE certificate.
What do you mess with him on B-body? B-bodies are GM for me. B-bodies are GM? I don't know what that means. You always mess with me on the B-body thing. I'm sorry, we don't know what that means. Clarify. Mexican Spec says that decided life started after graduation, so I graduated. Let's see. The dogs are behaving tonight. They are.
For the time being.
Oh, B-body GM versus B-body Mopar.
Oh.
Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I guess so. You don't talk badly about any cars, really.
No.
Oh, he says Roadmasters Fleetwood Caprice.
Yeah, but those years I'm not crazy about.
Oh, what years do
I
you
like
like?
the early. Oh, I'm saying I like the very early, late '60s, early '70s Buicks, full size cars. I really like. I'm not crazy about the mid-size. I like the full size cars.
Let's see. Was there anything? This is Koi Boy BC. Was there anything special about the 360 small block and the Little Red Express than the W2 engine?
No, well they were supposed to have W2 heads, but they don't. They're just regular 360s.
Let's see. Cold War Motors. What's up, Scott?
What's happening, man?
My grandfather had a 72 Electra 225 four-door hardtop.
That is the car.
When he retired to Florida, he called it his beach car. That's cool.
That's the car right there.
We need a beach car.
Four-door hardtop.
Let's see. Okay, so John M is saying, Tony, I saw the video on the Black Ghost. What did you think about the CUDA that sold for $2 million?
See, that car I mean, it's ugly. It's
in your opinion.
In my opinion, in everybody's opinion, okay, in everybody's
No, some
opinion.
people like it.
Nobody could look at that car and say, "Oh, that's a beautiful car." It's just not going to happen. But it is a factory show car. It has a history. You can see pictures of this thing at all of these various shows and whatnot. It's an ultimate survivor. You know, it's got the original paint, it's got the original everything on it, and it's all in really good shape. $2 million? I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're not gonna find another one.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, you're not gonna find another one. So in that respect, yeah, it's one of one, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a super early production car. It was like the fifth.
Yeah,
it was like the fifth Barracuda off the assembly line. So that right there is $2 million. I don't know. But when you're talking about a one of one car, it's like, what's somebody willing to pay for it? You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have given that kind of money for it, but.
Where's your 5-liter Mustang? That's the real 90s modern Ghost. Where's your 5-liter?
Where's my 5-liter?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been gone for years. We tried to track that car. We did track it down, actually.
Because somebody wanted to auction it.
Somebody wanted that car to restore it. This is about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago. Guy contacted us that he wanted to find that car to restore it. And his quote was, just find me a taillight from that thing and I'll clone the rest of the car. So we went we went on a hunt for it. Kathy went on a hunt for it, and she tracked it down to Pennsylvania, a body shop in Pennsylvania. And as it turns out, so I sold the car to a wholesaler because I just wanted to get away from everything. All I was like nitro sickness. I had nitro sickness. It's all I could think about. So I wanted to get rid of everything in my life that had nothing to, if it wasn't nitro, it had to go. So that car had to go. And I sold it to a wholesaler. I took a beating on it too. I sold it to a wholesaler, and then he sold it to somebody in Pennsylvania who turned it into a race car, a back half race car. And he was completely unaware of the car's history as far as being a magazine car. So it ended up as a back half race car, and the guy ran it for 15 years, 20 years, whatever it was. And then he ended up stripping it, and it sat behind his body shop in Pennsylvania. And then about a month before we actually tracked it down, he scrapped it. It was crushed.
I found the paperwork from the junkyard that said it was crushed. So, and it was probably about a month before I located it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just missed it. That was a lot of work actually, trying to find that car.
Yeah.
I don't know, I talked to so many different people. Let's see.
We had all the paperwork for it.
I still do.
You still do? You've got all the paperwork?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've got the key rings. I have the key rings that say 87 Mustangs.
I thought we auctioned that stuff off at
No,
some
we
point.
have all that. We have all the paperwork. We have the billing that you wrote every month, like your little tickets that you would send in.
171.89.
Something like that, yeah.
Yep.
Or payment stubs. Hatch. It was a hatch. Yeah, I have everything from the car. I have the brochure that you used to buy it. I have all the everything. No car. Let's see. Big Willie 69 Daytona was legendary and sold for $185. What year was that? What year was that? Do you know?
Gary French had that car.
Yeah, a while ago though.
Yeah, that was probably 5-6 years ago.
I think he had that car more than 5 or 6 years ago. He had it a long time
it was
ago.
when we had Mid-South Mopars because he dropped in on us.
He didn't have that car then.
No?
No.
Oh.
He had Shawanda.
Shawanda comes and goes.
Yeah, and then he had that GTX. Was it a GTX?
I don't know. He had one of the Motown missile cars.
He had that Duster. What's his name's Duster?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was it a post-op car?
Yeah, he had a couple of different.
I don't remember.
But anyway, he had Big Willie's car for a while.
Okay, let's see. Tony, in your opinion, what is the most valuable Mopar?
In my opinion, my opinion doesn't jive with prices. My opinion doesn't jive with prices. I would say one of the 69 Hemi cars, 68 Hemi cars, a Dart or Barracuda. One of the old cars, the factory superstar cars. I would say they should be the most valuable, but they're not.
It should be.
In my opinion, yeah. You asked me what, in my opinion, what's the most valuable Mopar? I would say that those cars, a 68 Hemi Dart or Cuda, would be, in my opinion, should be the most valuable out of all of them, but they're not.
James E. Halloran says his Swinger.
Yeah, my Swinger.
Yeah, that
Yes.
wants to sell. It's funny. 68 Hemi Dart, Zero says. See, I'm not crazy about them.
You don't have to be crazy about them, but
I don't
what they
know.
are.
Yeah, no, I know. I
know?
agree. I'm just not crazy about them. I like B-bodies.
Yeah, but you look at a Hemi Dart and it's so special. Like everything about the car, the window glass, everything about the car is special. And in my mind, it's like, You know, because you take like you take a Hemi Cuda, for example, or something like that, and aside from the engine and the options that went with the engine, the package that went with the engine, there's really not much special about the car. It's got the same interior that a 340 car would have. It's got or a 318 car, a Slant 6 car. So there's nothing really unique about that. But when you get to those 68 Hemi cars, every single bit of it, every single bit of it, is purposed for that specific car, specifically for the task of going from A to B in as short a time as possible. So in my mind, that should, because it's the purest of the classic era Mopars, in my mind, it should be the most valuable.
QMRK says, hey Tony, I have an idea for Plan Z. Would it help to put a piece of sheet metal around the shape of the intake and then bolt it to the header to deflect heat up to the lower side of the intake?
Did you sneak into my shop? Did you sneak into my shop? Because I'm going to show it in a video. I didn't attach it to the header. I attached it to the intake manifold. But yes, I made a shield around the base of the intake manifold that the four center header tubes are encased under the shield. So there's radiant heat from the four center header tubes directly to the bottom of the intake.
I want to do a Belvedere with a sedan top. Tony likes those.
Yeah, oh, I love those.
Yeah, he loves those. Those are like your favorites.
Yeah, the Belvederes and the Coronet Deluxes.
Yeah. But with the sedan top.
Yeah, that's a deluxe. The deluxe has.
Let's see, Glenn Nickerson. I appreciate your opinion over people who flip cars every couple of years that make them that they bought and never drove. The view of the hobby is just hedging their investment.
Listen, I'm not gonna fault anybody for doing that. That's how they enjoy the car hobby. You know, some of us enjoy laying on our back changing a valve body, and some of us enjoy getting drunk at an auction and throwing money around. I'm not gonna judge people for how they enjoy the hobby, you know. But it does sort of make it rough for the rest of us.
Cars are not investments. Too many things can go wrong. Digital share purposes.
Oh, I disagree with that. Cars are an excellent investment.
Yeah. Well, if you buy at the right price.
Well, here's the key.
You're not going to go buy $1 million car tomorrow, are you, Tony? I didn't think so.
No. Here's the key to it.
Maggie, come here. You want bread? Come on, baby.
Every car starts out at 100% of its new car price, new car value, right? So let's just say the new car is $20,000. Some cars are $20,000, some cars are $30,000, some cars are $80,000, some cars are $100,000, but eventually they all reach the same price of zero. So the closest you can buy to zero, the more you're hedging your bets, because cars reach that depreciation stage, they bottom out, and then the weak ones, the ones that aren't desirable, they disappear. Like, for instance, look at just take for example Ford Tauruses, right? So if you go back to the 1980s, 1990s, every other car on the road was a Ford Taurus. They were everywhere, right? They all started out at 100% of their value, and then they all ended up at zero. And when they ended up at zero, because they weren't desirable by anybody, they all disappeared. So they're extinct now. They don't exist anymore. They're gone, right? And cars like Roadrunners went through that same, or muscle cars in general, went through that same depreciation cycle where they all reached that zero, but because they were desirable, people scoffed them up and they stored them. And then from zero, now you're at the prices that they are now. So cars can be an excellent investment as long as you buy them at the bottom of their depreciation range, or close to the bottom of the depreciation range. And you have to just know the difference between the ones that hit zero and stay there, and the ones that hit zero and climb higher.
Your brother is on here.
Normal James.
I called you several times Monday, and your co-host too.
I tried calling you back.
I was treated like a redheaded stepchild.
No, I tried
I wasn't
calling you
paying a
back.
complaint with
She
management.
tried calling you back.
I tried to call you back like twice, James, and I know your brother tried to call you back as well. Try and call your brother tomorrow.
Okay.
He'll call you tomorrow. I'll make sure. Uncle Normal, yes, it's Uncle Normal. Let's see. Tony, what do you think about the Oldsmobile and their engines?
I like them. I like Oldsmobiles. I mean, there's a couple of them. A couple of them that stand out to me. My friend Andy's W30 is an example. The car's just like so over the top. It's beautiful. And I like that they tried as hard as they did during that muscle car era. The colors, the options, those red fender liners, inner fender liners. Like, there's a lot of Oldsmobile things that I really love, you know. But I was never compelled enough to go out and buy one or own one.
Your brother is telling Ari, let me tell you, it started Monday at 9 a.m. and continued to at least 8 p.m. It did, because we were shooting video all day.
Yes.
All day. Like, that was a long video.
That was a tough video.
Yeah, which video was that?
I don't remember, but it was hard to get through it.
It was a long video. It was like a half-an-hour video.
Yeah, but what video was it? It's all a blur.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur.
What was the topic?
I don't remember.
Guys, what video did we do?
May 15th.
On May 15th, because we don't remember which one it was. It was like almost a half an hour long. James says, I'm not accepting calls at this time, but I will accept a generous apology. We're sorry, James.
I'm sorry, but I tried to call you.
Yeah, we did try and call back, and you didn't pick up. And we were shooting video all day, like really like all day. And then we put it up, and then we went out with the kids, and then we got home. So, yeah, we were really busy. Sorry. He'll call you tomorrow. Let's see. Good morning, Adelaide, Ari says. Hello, Australia. Let's see. Kiwi's on here. Did you talk to Kiwi?
Yeah, we talked about this. He's done with the carpet cleaning, and he's gone into acupuncture.
The Ford video?
The 50th subscriber.
Oh, it was snubbing. No, it wasn't snubbing, because we called you in between multiple times. It wasn't snubbing. We're sorry. He's going to call you tomorrow.
So yeah, Kiwi is no longer doing the carpet cleaning for the 10th sub. Every 50th sub, every 50th new sub that Kiwi gets, he comes to your house and performs acupuncture.
The cabinet guy? What is Zero talking about?
I have no idea.
What video did we do Monday?
It was the one on manifold heat. Intake manifold heat.
Because we did it in a bunch of different sections.
Yes.
We went to different cars.
Yes.
Oh, right, yeah, because you were standing at Slaghammer, and then we went over to Plan Z.
Right.
And then you heated up the aluminum.
Right,
Okay.
right.
That's the video we did on Monday. I bet you talked to Kiwi on Monday. No, we didn't talk to anybody on Monday. We shot a video, like, how many times did we shoot that video?
That took a long time to shoot that video.
Sounds like a jungle behind you. You have a lot of birds.
Yeah, a lot of birds out tonight.
Ari says, normal James, I've got your complaint filed, but I will warn you now, the list of Tony's snubbing slash slighting complaints is extensive, and it may take some time to address your grievance.
I admit,
We're sorry, guys.
I'm bad
We really
like that.
We really are sorry.
I'm bad like that. You gotta understand, there are times where I take my phone and I put it someplace where I can't even look at
It's
it.
horrible. Like, for me to get in touch with you is really hard sometimes.
I don't want to be.
But
I don't
he
want to
puts
be
his phone where
contacted.
he can't see it. The sound is off. He won't put any apps on his phone. So he's always asking me, can you check this? Can you check that? Swamp Rat says, great, you moved to Tennessee and you can't walk and chew gum at the same time anymore. Oh, we can. Tony, stop snubbing your brother.
We can walk and chew gum, and we don't have to worry about being clubbed like a baby seal as we walk down the street.
Tony's off the social grid yet. He won't go on it.
I don't talk to anybody.
Nope. He won't go on
Literally,
it.
I've walled myself off.
You're gonna call your brother tomorrow?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna remind you. See, guys, so now you don't feel so bad if Tony didn't read your email, right?
I don't read emails.
Oh. Okay. The Duke of 5A sent you $20.
Thank you.
I have a 2-year-old battery that was bunk after sitting. Give your method a try, and the battery works like new now and has held a charge for 2 weeks. Thanks, UTG. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Cheers.
Thank you.
Awesome. Stupid video.
That was a big video.
I know, it was a big video, but like when we were shooting it, we were like, let's just do this stupid video.
It was funny, right? We shot that video. It was almost like an afterthought, and we did it on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Was it New Year's Day or New Year's Eve?
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, we got to get something up. Let's just do a video. And it was like, let's do this battery revival thing because it had been sitting in the back of my head. So we shot it kind of on a whim, and then boom, it's got like 1.2 million views or something like that. Which for us is a big video.
Your brother says I'm making a video tomorrow. I won't be around. Chris Freelancer says, did you see that Project Farm tested the welder battery restore thing and found that it works?
No, I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised.
1,500 for the swinger?
No, I got to get a little bit more.
Yeah, no.
Not much more, but a little bit more.
Let's see. Yeah, Project Farm just did the same video Fuar says. Adam Herbert says UTG tech help request. You do tech on Thursday nights.
We do tech on Thursday nights with Kiwi, but go ahead and throw it at me now.
I'm also looking to pick your brain about Oldsmobile engines and swapping transmissions. Would I be able to send you a message? It's a long-winded and won't fit down here.
No.
We won't. Honestly, there's so many messages in email that are very long, and a lot of them are technical, and I just can't ask him because he's so busy. Like his brain, like I try and ask him something, and he's like, "Oh, don't ask me that right now. I'm thinking about something." So I'm sorry. He's just not gonna.
Ask away here, or better than that, come on Thursday night, and we can like really get into a whole in-depth discussion of everything I know. I mean, I'm not an expert on what you're asking, but I promise you I'll give you my best shot. Pop in on Thursday. And you got 2 heads are better than 1 because Kiwi will be there.
Yeah, sorry about the emails, guys. Like, if it's a tech question, there's no way I can read him the email. And he doesn't read emails. He reads nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like,
no,
literally
zero.
Nothing. No apps on his phone, no social media, no email. He doesn't even have our channel on his phone.
I don't have my channel, right. I don't even have my own channel on the phone. So, I have YouTube on the phone, but I don't have it as an an account under our channel.
Right.
So
I don't be like, how's that video doing?
I have no idea what happens in a mailbox.
You don't.
I mean, literally, I do not know what happens in a mailbox. I know that pieces of paper come in and out. Kathy always has a stack of things that come from this mailbox thing, and she puts them on the counter over there. But I have no idea what's in. Oh, look, there's a big stack right there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, but I have no idea what any of it is. And
I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I have. There are certain people who I have to maintain contact with because
your brother.
My brother, but like there's Kiwi and
your brother says you can send a message, but he's busy making a video, so he probably can't respond. Okay, so James, when we're making a video, we don't take our phones with us. He says no, actually, not probably. He just won't. He's gonna call you tomorrow. Thank you for calling. We really appreciate it. Too funny.
I'm really this close to putting on the tissue boxes.
Oh, you're odd.
I know I am.
You're a little odd.
I know I am.
You've got your little idiosyncrasies. Charles Manson says, Tony, MLG 1969 sent you $100.
Whoa, thank you so
Says,
much.
I love your channel and always appreciate your info.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Trust me, it'll go to a good cause.
That's so nice.
That
he
is.
always sends us these huge super chats. We really appreciate it. What does James do? What does James do?
He's a
Tony?
landscaper.
He's a landscaper. He builds beautiful landscape things.
Yeah, he's like Mr. Green Jeans.
Yeah, but like he does amazing work. But he won't do a channel. We asked him. He's as knowledgeable with landscaping as Tony is with cars.
No, that's not possible.
Oh yeah, no, he knows a lot about plants.
There's not that much to know about plants.
No, there's a lot to know about plants. Right, James? Sell me one of your 833s for my coronet, please. Thanks.
I got rid of the last of them. Jeez, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I don't have any more.
Will I answer Larry Friend already? I don't see it. Oh, $17.50 for the swinger?
No, I gotta go more. I'm gonna throw it on a marketplace over here and see what I can get.
Why don't you just put it on eBay?
I don't want to put it on eBay.
Put it on eBay. You don't want to take it to Meekum?
No.
Or Meckham. We don't want you to say it the
Trust me,
wrong
the car's cleaner than anything that goes over.
way. It's in better condition.
It's in better condition.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to say.
Oh, listen. Well, I mean, I rag on the car. I call it a roach because it's a roach, right? But compared to the things that I see come through, like a Kiwi's shop and stuff like that, it's immaculate. It's like a 1,000-point, like, you know what I mean? It's over the top. But like I say, it's got to go.
Really?
I think so. I think so.
So what are we gonna get instead?
Nothing.
A Z car?
I want to work on what we got.
Okay, you always say that.
I want to work on what we got.
What's more roachy, the swinger or the black ghost?
The Black Ghost.
Let's see.
No, because the Black Ghost has an honest patina, where all of the patina on that car is covered in Bondo and paint. So no, the Black Ghost is definitely cleaner than.
Steve Magnanti is trying to get the snowblower running so he will have a way to get to the 4th of July cookout. How did the chicken coop turn out? We're working on it today.
Yeah, today we got the floor attached to the cinder block base, and then we stood up 2 of the frames.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Tony loves to build things with wood. He hates it. You're doing a good job, though.
It's coming. It's okay. It's coming along okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you remember Steve List's Challenger?
Sure. I didn't mention it because I just picked 2 well-known cars that would bookend that 1970 through 1975 period. So that's the only reason I used those 2.
Did Kiwi finish the fastback Cougar?
Oh, car's got a long way to go. I mean, he's working on it. Watch his channel. Go over to his channel. Sub to his channel. If you're the 50th new subscriber, free acupuncture. He comes to your place. Whatever problem you've got, rheumatoid arthritis, the heartbreak of psoriasis, any of these problems.
That acupuncture?
Kiwi is an acupuncture master.
I thought that would be like a dermatologist.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. You got pimples, you got nightmares, you're alcoholic, you need to fix that.
Nubs with guns.
Kiwi can acupuncture you to all your...
Says, I can't do wood. Tony doesn't like to work
I hate
with wood.
wood.
I like working with wood. I enjoy it.
Oh, no, it's a nightmare.
No,
it's a nightmare to me.
I like how it smells.
It smells nice. It
Right?
smells nice. Yeah, but I hate everything else about it.
I love the smell of cut wood. I subscribe to Kiwi too soon, missing out on the acupuncture my project correspondent.
Unsub and then resub.
Resub. Eric says, I'm calling Kiwi. Okay, Eric just put the link up for Kiwi. This is not holistic healthcare advice. 672E Galaxy says. Digital Sharecropper says, I have land and buildings in Naples, Florida. Weren't we going to move to Naples? Is that where we were going to move? No, Coral Springs.
Well, we have looked at a couple of different places.
Yeah.
Considered a couple of different places.
Right.
Way back when. I'm not leaving Middle Tennessee.
You're not leaving Middle Tennessee.
I'm home.
Let's see. How did you get into the magazine work with a GED? Would love to see your resume. I think they made a great choice, Glenn Nickerson says.
I've told this story before. So what happened was I had a shop, right? And then from the shop, I started working out of the house because why have overhead? And make a long story short, business had taken like a bit of a dive. I was having a soft spell, and I was in the apartment, and I says, you know, I want to do something different. I was 23 years old. I said, I want to do something different.
I think you were younger than that, eh?
No, I was 23.
In the apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like the last year we were in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I want to do something different, but I don't know what it is. So help me. If this is exactly how it went down. Here's my witness right there, right?
Yeah, I was there.
So as I walked past the TV, there was the new copy of Muscle Car magazine sitting on top of the television. And I picked up the magazine and I says, so help me, I swear, if I'm lying, okay. I picked up the magazine and I says, you know what? I want to write for car magazines. I'm going to be a writer. Okay. So I open, you know, they have the indicia, they call it the indicia on the contents page, who publishes it and contact information and so on and so forth. And I looked at it and I says, oh, this is published in Hackensack, New Jersey, which is only 20 miles up the road, right? I says, let me call them. So I called
Staten Island at the time.
Yeah, I was over Staten Island at the time, right? So I call the number in the magazine, right? So I had the phone on the wall. I pick up the phone, I dial the number that's in the magazine, you know, and girl answers the phone, and I says, hey, I want to write for you guys. Who do I talk to? So she says, well, what are you not what are your qualifications, but, are you currently a writer? And I was like, no. She says,
no.
She says, well, what do you do? So I says, well, I'm a mechanic, and I'm a street racer. Like, literally, that was... Literally. Here's my resume, okay? Here's my resume. I'm a mechanic and a street racer. Did you go to school? I said, no, I got thrown out of school when I was 16. Have you ever written anything? I says, no, but I can learn. She says, all right, I'll have the editor give you a call. And I was like, okay, well, that's
the street racer thing.
What's that?
It was probably the street racer thing that got you.
Whatever it was, that was my resume.
Right.
This is my resume. I'm a mechanic and I'm a street racer. So, a short while later, the phone rings, and it's Cliff Gromer.
Your brother says, oh, so you know how to use a phone.
I did know how to use a phone. This is 1985, I think it was. 1985. Yeah. So the phone rings, I pick it up, and it's Cliff Gromer. And he says, so I hear you want to write for our magazine. And I was like, yeah, point me in the right direction. Let's do this thing. And he was like, so you're a street racer? I says, yeah. He says, we're interested in that sort of thing. So he says, can we tag along sometime? And I was like, sure, you can tag along. I says, Thursday night we're going to run our GTX up at Fountain Avenue. So he shows up with the camera and shoots me working on the car and then making runs with the car, and it was in Muscle Car magazine. So he called me Tony Mopar in that magazine, in that article. But in the meantime, between then and then, he says, we're starting a magazine called Cars Illustrated. And he says, it's going to be like the old High Performance Cars magazine, but we want like that street racing edge to it. I says, consider it done, right? This is what I do.
I'm a writer.
So,
Like that.
so he says, we need a technical editor. I says, fine, I could be a technical editor. What is that? So he says, you think I swear to God, this is exactly how it went.
It's funny. I know it's how it went.
Right, I know you know how it went.
Yeah.
He says, we need a technical editor. I says, what's that? He says, well, you got to read through the stories and find mistakes that people make and correct them and so on and so forth. I says, consider it done. So he says, great, show up to the office on Monday and we'll get you started. So I go to the office on Monday and they give me a desk and they pile up a bunch of manuscripts in front of me. So this was CSK Publishing, and they did High Performance Pontiac, Vet, Muscle Car, and then they had just started doing Cars Illustrated, right? So they give me this stack of manuscripts to go through, and I'm reading through them. It's for all these different magazines, and I'm listed now officially as a technical editor for Pontiac and Vet and all these other things, right? My friends didn't believe me. My friends were like, come on, you're kidding, right? I said, no, look here, like it's a magazine, right? So what would happen was I would go through these manuscripts and find so many errors and so many things that I didn't like agree with or anything like that.
Oh, were you opinionated?
No. This was like strictly technical
okay.
stuff. So it was like, okay, so here's what you have to understand about magazine writers. And you guys already know this, right? Magazine writers are generally not car guys. They're writers, okay? So they'll write about cars today and they'll write about golf tomorrow and they'll write about politics the next day. They're not really car guys. You know, they like cars, but they're not. They're journalists, but they're not hands-on blood and guts guys. So what happened was they would write a story, let's say about a small block Chevy camshaft or whatever it is, right? But they'll be so vague about it that it didn't, like it, to me as a gearhead, it wasn't satisfying. So I started writing in, notations that would go included in the story. And just after doing this for like a couple of months, not even a couple of months, maybe a month or two, I got to the point that I was rewriting like entire stories. And I was like, I could just write these things to begin with. So I quit my job as technical editor, but I stayed on there on the masthead and I became a writer. And because I was so familiar with this stuff, I was banging out a feature every freaking day, right? So a typical writer, it takes them a few days to research and do this and do that.
You're just a really fast writer.
And I'm a lightning fast writer.
It's like crazy.
But here's what you have to understand about this now, okay? And again, see if I'm lying, okay. I was a writer, but I had no idea how to spell, how to punctuate, how the sentence structure. I had no clue, right? How any of that stuff worked. So I would just write this stuff out, and it needed to be edited, right? So I was banging out so much material that they hired a copy editor. This guy's name was Jim Cosks. And Jim, his full-time job, was to just take my manuscripts and make them readable. Because I couldn't, and I didn't know how to type. I would type like this. I still, to this day, I type like this, right? So this went on for about a year, right? This evolutionary period where now I'm writing a full-length feature every single day, and I'm doing captions for this, and I'm doing captions for that. And they had started paying me as a writer, but I was only making like $300 a week, $400 a week, whatever the hell it was. And I was like, the freelancers are getting paid a bunch more than this. So I went into the publisher's office, Steve Schneider, and I quit my job. I says, this is ridiculous. I'm not making enough money. So he says, well, we'll give you more money. I says, no, I want to be a freelancer. So he says, well, you can't be a freelancer and be, I says, I don't care. I quit. And I quit, and I went back to my desk, and I started submitting stories as a freelancer. And so they had to pay me as a freelancer. They couldn't get rid of me because I was writing so many of these friggin' magazines. So it was a fantastic deal for me.
They were dependent on you at that point.
They became completely dependent on me.
You were a machine.
Right, and I was doing like new car buyer's guides. I was doing monster truck books. I was doing all of these different things that they were throwing at me, and I was banging them out in like 2 days and 3 days, doing a whole package. Because I didn't have to research any of this stuff. I knew it because I lived it, right?
Did he type on a typewriter?
Yeah, I used to type on an electric typewriter like this.
You had a word processor.
Later on.
Yeah.
Later on. This is before computers. So what happened with that? So after about a year of doing this, they became dependent on me, and so now I had leverage, right? So they're paying me top dollar as a freelancer, but that wasn't enough. I wanted two things. I wanted a drag racing magazine and I wanted a Mopar magazine. So they talked me out of the drag racing magazine. They says, "Well, you got Cars Illustrated. Just put all your drag racing stuff in Cars Illustrated and be happy with that." And I'm like, "Okay, fine, but I want a Mopar book." And I fought with these people. I fought with them for months, right? They refused to put a Mopar magazine out, and and eventually I says, "That's it. I'm done. I'm going to go work for another publisher."
Nobody was really using that name.
Nobody used the word. Yeah, the word Mopar was not in the common lexicon. The word Mopar was, if you were an insider, you knew what a Mopar was, but it wasn't in the general public, right? And it's hard to appreciate that now, 40 years after the fact, because everybody knows it's just Mopar's a household name. But back then, if you said you had a Mopar, unless you were in the scene, you didn't even know what that was. It's like you had a Dodge, you had a Plymouth, you had a Chrysler product. Mopar? Not really. But I wanted to do a magazine called High Performance Mopar. So I went on strike. So when I went on strike, they panicked because they couldn't get Vet out. They couldn't get Pontiac out. So they gave in and they gave me my first issue of High Performance Mopar. And I wrote that entire magazine, cover to cover, including the columns that Steve Schneider had a column in there, Cliff Gromer had a column in there. I even wrote all of their columns and put their pictures on there. So if you've got a copy of the first issue of Muscle Car magazine, the letters to the editor, okay, yeah, there was the first issue of the magazine and it had letters to the editor. I wrote the letters to the editor, right?
And then you answered them.
And I answered them. So if you happen to have a copy of the very first issue of High Performance Mopar magazine, I literally wrote that entire thing cover to cover. And it took off. It was the best seller of all of the magazines. So that was it. Golden, I made good money. So this lasted at CSK. It lasted for about 4 years. It's about 4 years I was at CSK, and at that point I was starting to get tired of it, and I wanted to do my own stuff. Like there was a political structure that I had to deal with. There was the advertising people, Linda Arkin. She was a sweetheart, but we were like this, okay. There was a.
She had to sell the ads.
Yeah.
That's why she was having a problem, because she would write things.
I would write stuff that was right. So I had problems with the ad people.
Surprise.
Right. I got blacklisted from the NHRA. They wouldn't give me credentials or anything like that because I was a street racer. I got blacklisted from all of the different manufacturers because I broke all of their test cars. And I was street racing with their test cars. So we couldn't get cars from Pontiac, we couldn't get cars from Chevy, couldn't get cars from Buick, couldn't get cars from Ford. So I used to have other magazines, other writers for other magazines, sign the cars out so I could take them and do drag tests on them. It was crazy. It was like real craziness going on. And that lasted for about 4 years. And I said, nah, I want to do my own stuff and I don't want to have anything over me. So I went to Harris Publications in Manhattan. And at that point, Cars Illustrated, because I wasn't writing anymore, they took Cars Illustrated and turned that into a magazine called Muscle Mustangs and Fast Fords, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. But that was from Cars Illustrated, and the whole beginning of that magazine was me and my 5-liter and Neil Van Opry and his 5-liter, because we were covering those cars in Cars Illustrated, and we were selling magazines like crazy. People were interested in those things. So when I left CSK, they changed the title of Cars Illustrated to Muscle Mustangs and Fast Fords, and it went on to, I think they still publish it today. I don't even know. So I went across the river to Harris Publications, and Harris was like, "Do what you want to do," right? And so Harris would pay me $6,000 to put a magazine out.
What year was this?
This was in 1988. So Harris would pay me $6,000 for a package. So out of that $6,000, I could write the whole magazine myself and put the whole thing in my pocket, or I could take some of that budget and buy freelance work or whatever. So I went over there. I made the deal with Harris, and I says I want to do Mopar Action magazine, which was going to compete with High Performance Mopar. And for 1 month, I was actually competing against myself on the newsstand because I had put the last issue of High Performance Mopar out at CSK and the first issue of Mopar Action out at Harris, and they were on the newsstand next to each other. And I did Mustang Action to compete against Muscle Mustangs and Fast Fords, and I did Street and Strip Supercar magazine, and that was going to be like Cars Illustrated, but without having the constraints of having to deal with, And I did we did Mustang Action, Mopar Action, Street and Strip Supercar, and one other magazine. I don't remember what it was.
You did a drag racing magazine.
Oh yeah, Drag Racing Monthly.
Drag Racing Illustrated.
Drag Racing Illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We did like 2 or 3 issues of that, and I did that with Norman Blake. And in the meantime, the crew from CSK mutinied and came over to Harris to work with me. So Neil Van Opry quit CSK and came over to Harris, and he was working for me. And then Jim Cox, who they had hired as my copy editor, they came over and worked with me over at Harris. So I did that for a year, and I put out all of those magazines, and I also, to pick up some extra money, I put the first copy of New Woman magazine out. New Woman, right? Okay. Now you gotta picture this. I'm a raggy street racer. I mean, literally, I was like just a rat street racer.
Good night, Kiwi. Kiwi's going.
Good night, Kiwi. Rat mechanic street racer in the same clothes I'm wearing now, without the UTG logos, obviously, right?
Jeans and t-shirts.
And I had an office on Broadway, across from the Flatiron Building. You guys know the Flatiron Building? That's that right? You know the building I'm talking about. My office was directly across the street from the Flatiron Building, and I was doing these car magazines, and then to pick up
the table, you're messing the camera.
Oh, and to pick up extra bucks, I packaged the first copy of New Woman magazine and Guitar World. I helped put together the first package, the first issue of Guitar World. I knew nothing about those things, obviously, but I was just like, I didn't care. I needed to make money because I wanted to go nitro racing. So I was like, anything I can get, I'm just gonna go for it. So that lasted for a year, and at that point, I was making good money. I was making really good money with it. But my head and my heart and everything was in Nitro. It was all I could think about. I was like completely obsessed. So I pulled up in front of the office. I had a 340 Duster. It was a 344 speed Duster. And I pulled up in front of the office. And that was the other thing too, right? This is how I made New York City's like top 100 scofflaw list, because I refused to take mass transportation. I would drive my Duster to work every morning, and I would park it. I would park it in no parking zones, and I would leave it double parked off of Broadway.
I remember I paid the tickets. It was all under my name.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Oh
right?
yeah, it
I was like, screw you and your mass transit and your parking regulations. I don't care, right?
I paid all the tickets, Tony.
Yeah.
They were all under my name.
Oh yeah,
They were going to suspend my license.
It was insane. It was insane, right? But I pulled up in front of the office, and I will never forget this, right? I pulled up in front of the office, and I looked up, and I'm looking at the office window out of the car, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I drove home, and that was it. I gave the magazines to Neil and Jim to run, and they did good. And then Cliff Gromer left CSK and went over to Harris. And he did. He picked up where I left off with Mopar Action magazine, which is still in print. It's still out there. We just saw a copy of it on the newsstand the other day. We were in Kroger or whatever supermarket it was, and there was Mopar Action magazine. So
Publix.
I gave those guys the magazines, and I signed up with the Petosa brothers, because they wanted to go funny car racing. I wanted to go funny car racing, and I built the shop, I did everything. I took the cinder blocks and actually built the walls for the shop, and built the car and everything else, and that was it. And then I hustled and wheeled and dealed and did some repair work and shit like that to keep the bills paid and the kids fed and everything else. And I devoted all my time to learning Nitro, and that's what I did for the next like dozen years. That was a long story.
It was a long story. Everybody's still with us.
Well, it was a short version of a long story because I'm leaving out a lot. There's so much I'm leaving out.
Let's see. Let's see. Mexican Spec says, I hate those places that tax you to drive your car with parking tickets.
Yeah.
There were so many parking tickets.
I just didn't care.
You don't understand.
I didn't care.
Tickets. Let's see.
Open the door for her.
Who is it?
Maggie.
Okay. Tony, that was very inspiring, Dakota says. When he did it, I was like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, lots of people were.
How did you go to work for a magazine? Like, all you did was pick up the phone and be like, okay, I want to write. And they're like, okay.
I made a good career out of it. I made a good career out of it.
How'd you do that? William Kavanaugh says that story was awesome. Kathleen Mitchell, it was a great story.
Now, in between and afterwards, I wrote for Hot Rod, Superstock, and Drag Illustrated while I was doing the Nitro thing. At the same time that I was doing the Nitro thing, I wanted to get back into the magazines a little bit. So in the middle 90s, I started writing for Steve Collison at Superstock and Drag Illustrated. And then they changed the name of that while I was writing for them to Drag Racing Monthly, I think it was. I don't remember what the name change was. But I wrote for Collison right up until he died.
Tony Clark says, do you realize you set the tone for American society at large?
Yes, I do.
Don't tell him that. I gotta live with him. Let's see. What was the very first car you owned and built?
Very first car I built. First car I owned, I never did anything with. The very first car I built was a '69 Charger when I was 16, and I bought the car for $20. It was a stolen recovery. This is in 1977, and I've shown this picture before 1,000 times, but
I think it's dusty. I didn't dust the seat. No hot running allowed. Yeah. Eating ice cream and Uncle Tony live. Nothing better. My project process. I can't see it. It's just black.
Is it black?
Yeah, it's black.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll put the lantern in front of it. I'll put the lantern. Oh, wait, here. I got a flashlight.
Oh, my goodness. He has a flashlight.
So, that's me when I was 16. And that was the first engine I ever built. That was a 446 pack. And I put that was my 69 Charger that I paid $20 for. And that engine, there's a whole story behind building that engine. I'll tell that some other time. But yeah, that's me at 16. That's my first car, my first engine.
Sweet looking engine. Yes, you have to move this out of the way now. Okay. The greatest picture is the one of you lapping valves on the toilet.
That was Cars Illustrated. That was like 1986.
Dakota says, Tony, I want to hear that story. What story is he talking about?
Which story?
I don't know. I was inside. Giving the dogs treats and getting them in. Looks pretty ratty. What looks ratty? The picture?
I was 16.
He was 16. Oh, good grief. Let's see. As we are on storytelling, how about you tell us about the engine build? What engine build? Which engine build?
I have no idea.
Story of the engine. James Halloran says the story of the engine.
Of that full 46 pack?
I guess so. I don't know. I was inside.
I'll tell that story. I'll tell a story another time. I have told that story during lives. I'll tell it again.
The 446 pack, they
Yeah.
said. The 16-year-old one. They want that story. Okay.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. So my parents were at war with me over this. My parents were not car people completely. I was a black sheep in my family.
They hated it.
Yeah, I've always been
They
the black
still
sheep in
hate
my
it.
family. And they hated me. They hated the car. They hated everything about it. They hated the idea
They
of
didn't
it.
hate you. They didn't like the car thing. They hated the car thing.
Well, I had to build that car, that entire car, the engine, the tranny, the rear. I had to sell the rear end out of the car to pay for the tow to get the car back to my house. My parents, this is in New York City. My parents wouldn't let me put the car in a driveway, so I had to keep the car on the street. So I had to keep stealing license plates to put on the car, and then eventually the cops would come by and take the stolen license plates off and put the sticker on the car, and I'd peel the sticker off and steal another set of plates and put it on the car. And I did this for like a year while I put this car together, and I did it on the street in front of the house under the streetlight, and that engine went in the car January 10th, 1978. And I remember that date because it was a snowstorm, and it was like 10 degrees, and it was an ice snowstorm, and we had an engine hoist made out of 3 stolen stop signs that we made a teepee out of, and they were all chained together. And we had a come along, a rented come along, and I did that in a snowstorm outside. And I remember we kept pouring gas. My friend Carl Wegler's helped me with this, and we kept pouring gasoline. There was nothing flammable, you know. We kept pouring gasoline under the hood and lighting it to warm stuff up, just so we could keep going with it. And I remember at one point, I was wrenching on some part of it, and I lifted my head up, and there was a frozen snot sickle like this.
It's nice, Tony.
I had no tools. I had no, I mean, I built that thing with like opening wrenches and like a vice grip and like a pair of pliers and like a rock. I mean, I had no tools. I had no help. I had nothing. But I built it and drove it, and I was 16.
Mm-hmm. You did a good job, Tony.
I lost my license in that car before I ever got a license. When I was 16, I had gotten so many tickets with that friggin' car. Please, uninsured, unregistered, speed contest, display of this, I had gotten so many tickets with that car when I was 16 that instead of them sending me my license when I turned 17, they sent me a notice saying that I had been revoked. So I went and I changed my name. I changed the initial, which you could do back then, right? I changed my middle initial to something else.
I have a copy of your license.
Do you really?
1982.
From 1982?
Yeah, it has the things written on the back.
Yeah.
The script, like
Yeah.
all the different suspensions.
Oh, does it?
Stuff, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Different tickets and suspensions, but
Excellent.
I have that license.
We got to show that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had gotten so
Speed
many tickets
contest,
before I got my license that when it came time to get my license, they sent me a notice saying I had been revoked.
It's funny. Yeah, you put your initial. Like when was Anthony and when
Yeah.
was Anthony V? Is that what it
Yeah.
was?
Yeah. And then I lost that one, like, I don't know, like 6 months after I
Because you
got
could
it.
do that back then.
Yeah, and then I didn't have a license until, maybe 10 years ago, I think.
You have a license now. Tony has a license.
It's expired, but I have
He
it.
has a license. You could go up
10 or 12 years ago. I didn't have a license from the time I was 17 until about 10 or 12 years ago.
No, when I met you, you had a license. I have the copy of it.
It was already suspended. I had it, but it was
yeah.
suspended.
God. Why did I ever get in a car with you?
Because I was a great driver.
Oh, yeah. I was crazy. Let's see. Danny Boyd says, I found... Ooh, a bug just went in my hair. I found a ticket in my 2005 Mustang GT, which got my friend who sold me the car kicked out of the state of Kansas. Didn't your brother say he was you once when he got pulled over?
Yeah,
He did. So that went on your license too,
yeah.
James. And you wonder why he won't call you. Probably not listening now. LMAO James. How old is your brother when he did that?
Probably in his 20s.
I remember that.
I've had a very colorful life.
We lived in New York, so it was definitely fun.
This the stickers in New York. You have 2 stickers on the windshield. In New York, there's 2 stickers that go on the windshield. There's a registration sticker and an inspection sticker. The
He says,
registration
"Yeah,
sticker
that
is.
was the dumbest thing I ever said." Your brother says.
Oh, you got in trouble for it?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, probably you had no license. Why would he say that he was you? Because he didn't want to get it on his license. But then he realized, uh-oh.
So I used to make my own stickers. So as you drive them by, because what happens is, as you drive by in traffic, the cop just looks to see that the stickers are the right color. They can't see anything up close. So I would make the sticker for whatever year it had to be, and I would write in there like where it said like the serial number. I just put "fuck you," okay. that was the serial number. Well, if you're a cop or a meter maid and you've gotten that close, I'm getting the ticket. So I'm going to tell you up front, "fuck you."
That's nice, Tony. CCE sent you 550 Canadian.
Thank you.
He says Tony had the story with Susie and the ready whip end.
Oh God. So those slam in a month stories.
He's embarrassed by those.
I am.
He doesn't like to talk about it.
Okay, so what you guys get here now is the much older, much mellower.
Mellow. This is mellow, Tony.
I'm not the same person. I am the same
You're
person,
the same
but
person.
like I haven't changed, but I have changed. So if you go back to those days, when you go back to like the 80s and the 90s, right? Like, I don't know how I can say this. I was a little nuts. So I've mellowed out so much. Like I'm really mellowed out. And that's who you know now. You know, like Uncle Tony.
Zero
Right?
says Kathy, New York registration. Fuck you, okay, shirt.
But what happened was, during the course of doing these magazines, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to get away from CSK and I went over to Harris, was that the editor that I was dealing with at CSK wasn't a savvy car person. This, and I'm not going to say his name because he's still in the business, right? So he wasn't a savvy car person. He was a magazine editor, and he would edit any magazine that came along. It just happened to be editing car magazines. But he played a guy who liked cars. The whole industry is very disingenuous. So he would go to a car show, and he would shoot like a dozen cars. And these are used as filler in the magazine, okay? And I had to write the words to go with the pictures of the cars that he would go shoot. And because he would go to car shows and not like drag races or anything like that, he would come up with these cars that were just flamboyant for the sake of flamboyancy. They had no continuity. They weren't built for speed. They had all of this gingerbread shit all over them and everything. And I used to have to try to write the words to go with these things. So I rebelled, you know what I mean? And I started doing what was called the Slam of the Month. Only it wasn't called the Slam of the Month at first. I did one, right? And I sent it. Because they couldn't fire me because I was getting paid as a freelancer. So, and they needed me. So So I forget what car it was, but I wrote this story that had absolutely nothing to do with the car at all, like zero to do with the car. And I don't remember what I referenced the story from. It doesn't make any difference. And it went. And it became really popular. So we started getting these requests for doing a slam in a month. So then it got to the point that they would just drop this pile of pictures of a really obnoxious car in front of me and say, go to town. And that's what we did. And that was the slam in a month. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that today. I wouldn't do that these days.
You wouldn't do that to somebody's car.
I wouldn't do that to somebody's car these days.
That
but,
black car, though.
But I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Wait, now here, Kathy's my witness here, right? Kathy's my witness. I'll tell you what came from that. I'll tell you what came from that, or what almost came from that. So one of these slam in a month cars that I did, and I don't remember which one it was, got into the hands of a guy named Matty Simmons, who was a head writer for the National Lampoon. So if you guys, the National Lampoon was like it was like Mad Magazine for adults, right? And then they started doing movies. They did Animal House, and they did I don't know, a bunch of different movies. Doesn't make any difference. Well, the guy Matty Simmons, who was the head writer for the National Lampoon, he was a car guy. He bought Cars Illustrated. He read the Slam in a Month, and he contacted Cars Illustrated magazine to get a hold of me, because he wanted to hire me to write for it to the National Lampoon. And I'm like,
they were writing. They were doing a movie. They needed a script writer.
They were doing it right. They needed a script writer.
Vacation movies.
Right, it was a vacation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Chevy Chase movies.
Yeah, so the National Lampoon tried to hire me to do script writing for, and
yeah,
I was
this
like,
is like 1988.
Yeah, and I got on the phone with him, and I was like, man, I really appreciate it. But I'm not a writer, okay? I'm just doing this to buy time.
He told me you're not a writer.
I'm not a writer. I'm just doing this to buy time so I can go drag racing.
When he told me that, I was like, are you serious? Like, you really just told them I'm not a writer?
But I wasn't a writer.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. 672E Galaxy says. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you would have been writing vacation movies.
Yeah, and I had no interest in doing that.
Yeah, you were like, I'm not a comedy writer.
I wasn't a comedy writer.
Vicky probably says that's so cool. Tony mellowed out after he found out he would black out when he did a Nitro run?
No.
No.
When did I mellow out?
I don't know.
I think it was the mellowing out was just well, moving to Tennessee had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I came to Tennessee, I was still full of crazy. I was here for like a month, and me and my friend Crazy Pete got arrested for shooting up some guy's trucks. It was bad, right? I was a little crazy when we first got here, but this place
That was just stupid.
What's that?
That was just stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid. But yeah, it was just I came from the place where I just didn't care. Okay, I came from that whole New York City / Nitro guy mentality where I just didn't care about anything. And then being
Tennessee
here,
is pretty calming.
Yeah, the environment here did it, I think. You know, and like over the next 10 years or so, I got into the coffee house business, and that definitely mellowed me out a lot.
My project car says when I moved from Brooklyn to Florida, people down here thought I was freaking nuts. Yeah. It's a change.
I cleared out my coffee house. Okay, so we moved down here, right? We were here for a year, okay? And we opened a coffee house, The Grind, on Memorial Boulevard. And one night the crowd was rowdy, right? And I didn't like I was trying to calm them down, and they didn't want to calm down, and I actually chased them out of the place with an AK-47. I used to keep an AK-47 under the bar, right? And I was like, I got the gun. I was like, everybody out. I'm pulling the fucking trigger. And they,
Okay,
so,
Dakota wants to know, how can I be a writer? I think I could do it. Just write things. Dakota.
Just write things, man. 'Cause that's what I did.
Whatever it is, just write.
Just write things.
He says, I'm actually pretty good at writing. Just do it. Don't think too hard about it. That'll mess you up. Just do it. I know people that think too hard about things.
That's the truth, man. Don't think about it.
Yeah,
Just
the
do
more
it.
you think about it, the more you don't do it.
Anytime you think about doing something, you will talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You'll always find the reasons why it won't work, or you can't do it, or it's a dead end, or whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something you want to do, just do it. Just,
No, do not use ChatGPT.
yeah, don't use ChatGPT. But I mellowed a lot, and that's why I can do this channel and do this stuff now, because my head isn't full of crazy anymore, and I've become really mellow.
Yeah, Barrow's Garage says self-doubt is the biggest killer. Yes, it is. How do I find a position, though?
A position? You don't want a position.
Yeah,
you want to freelance.
That's.
The money's in freelancing.
Is there any money in freelancing now?
Well, see, I don't know. Today is the day of video. So, I mean, yeah, you could.
The world has changed a lot since Tony wrote for magazine.
The world has changed a lot.
If you go look at the magazine rack, it's pretty bare.
But that's not to say that you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do this. This is the new magazine. This is the new media. This is the new news.
Well, a lot of people are getting paid on. Shoot, what is it called? What is it called, Kathy? Where's my phone? What is that? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It'll come to me. There's something where you can write and people subscribe to you. What is it called?
Substack.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. But I'm telling you, video is the new thing. Like these
Well,
are.
Substack is actually doing really well. People are really getting a lot of people that follow them.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways to skin the cat. But I would recommend honestly that if you're compelled to be a writer, just do YouTube. Write yourself a script.
How do you sell what you've written?
You have to write something that people want to buy. You don't have
Yeah.
to sell it. If you write the stuff that people want, they'll seek you out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They'll you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to sell it. It'll sell itself.
Write stuff you want to read.
Just like when my initial thing into the car magazine thing was my qualification was that I was a mechanic and I was a street racer. And they needed somebody who had, oh, don't shake the table. They needed somebody who had those qualifications. They didn't need another typewriter jockey. They needed somebody who was actually hands-on, that knew what they were doing, that was actually out there in the world doing these things that other people were writing about. That was me. So that was my qualification, and it worked. So you have to figure out what your qualification is to be in the thing that you want to be in.
SRP, I still go to the magazine section at Walmart, but I'm 47. Laugh out loud. Let's see. You guys' garage is here.
And the other thing, man, is you can't care.
Yeah, don't
right?
care about it.
So like the biggest thing I've learned in life, right, is to be completely divorced from outcome. Okay? Like, when you do something, you have to want it to succeed, but you can't put any value in the success. And I know that doesn't really make much sense, okay? So it's like if I'm gonna light this lighter, okay, obviously I want the flame to come out when I do this, right? But if it doesn't, for whatever reason, I got to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that big of a deal. I'll figure out some other way to make fire, right? Or I'll fix this. But it's not a failure. Like, I don't consider it to be a failure if the fire doesn't come out. I'd like the fire to come out, but I'm okay if it doesn't. And you have to be like that with like everything in life. You know what I mean? It's just like, you have to like kind of hedge your direction in the positive way, but not put any weight on it. And just say, well, it works, it doesn't, and you move on. You see what I'm saying? You have to divorce yourself from the outcome. It's going to be whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, and you don't have much control over it.
Right.
Like, really none. Lower your expectations? Well, I don't know. I think you can have expectations, but just be okay with whatever it is.
I try not to have expectations.
Yeah.
I lay out a basic plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take a car, like you use Bottle Rocket as an example, right? I knew what I wanted to accomplish with the car. I had the parameter in my head. I had the visual of the car working, right? And its final product. Like I saw what I wanted it to be when it was final product. But it took a while to get from the initial. It took a while to go from like the starting of the project to actually having it function. There were a lot of false steps and problems along the way. But I was okay with those things, you know. And a lot of people don't really get that. They're like, you know, well, how could you be okay with it? It wastes the rear end, or it does this, or it does that. And it's like, because I don't really care. See, so because I don't really care, it's like it doesn't wreck my day, and it's just like, well, I'll just fix it and try it again, and I'll just fix it and I'll try it again, and I'll just fix it and I'll try it again. But I always have that ultimate vision of what the car is going to do, and then it just comes together, and like it came together when we raced Casper. And there's still so much more in that car.
Forget the rest, yeah.
What's that?
Randy Ryan says, do your best and forget the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's see. UTG is the honest channel. I used the torch to clean a bad plug with success today. Thanks.
Yeah. Same thing with Plan Z. I'll say it right now, because I know Plan Z at some point will be the quickest normally aspirated Slant 6 on Earth, right? Now, I'm not calling out the fast guys. I'm not calling out the Ruster or anything like that. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm coming after you. What I'm saying is that eventually, after I work the bugs out of it, and it could take 6 months, it could take 6 years. It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care. But at some point, that car will be the quickest normally aspirated Slant 6 on the planet. That's my goal for it. It will get there. I don't know how it's going to get there. I don't know the steps between here and there, but that's where it's going to be. And I have absolute confidence that that will happen. Now I just need to live it. So in other words, like there it is. This is what it is. Now I just need to live everything between here and there, and enjoy every step of the way, because every step of the way you learn something new.
Stick that Slant 6 in a Fiero. Dakota says that is awesome. You'll meet the goal.
You always meet the goal as long as you stay on the goal.
Dr. Art. Hello, Dr. Art.
What's happening, Dr. Art?
He says, with Plan Z, do you have total advance of 30 degrees? And I'm not suggesting that I know anything any better, but is it only 30 degrees of timing because of compression, or just didn't like 34, 35?
Small bore. It's only a 3.4 inch bore, right? So it doesn't take a lot of time for the flame front to work its way across. The reason why you run a lot of lead is because when you have a lot of surface area to the piston or the combustion chamber, it takes time for the flame front to work its way across. And everything is in scale. So the spark is in scale, the fuel mixture is in scale. So those times are set. Now the distance that it has to cover, that is the variable. And the way you adjust that variable is through ignition timing.
Joe K wants to know, is Plan Z lighter than the Miata?
Same weight. Within like 50 pounds of each other.
BW Manxman says Plan Z is the right foundation for it.
I'm determined it's going to work. It's going to work. I have no question about it. There are so many things I'm learning about the idiosyncrasies of the Slant, of inline engines, and that's what's exciting to me, because like I'm 61 years old, and it's like, you know, been there, done it with Nitro, been there, done it with this, been there, done it with that. Never been there and done it with a Slant 6. And you try to apply things that work just, okay, well, this works on a V8. You know, this works on every engine I ever worked on, but it doesn't work on that. Why doesn't it work on that? And then you have to figure it out. And that's where the fun is. The fun is figuring out what it's going to take to make it do what you want it to do. And that's where people lose it. Like, they don't understand that's where the actual fun is. You know what I mean? The fun is finding a problem and then fixing that problem, and then the time slip is your reward. You know what I mean? You know, you brainstorm, you try, you think, you ask questions, you read, you research, you experiment, you do all kinds of other things. You put your time into it, and then your reward is that, you picked up a tenth, or you picked up 200. So whatever it happens to be, right? But the time slip is your reward
Let's see. 2
or
axles.
your punishment.
Tony, what suspension setup is on Plan Z?
It's got stock leaf springs. Actually, they're the 6-cylinder springs, and I took one leaf out of each spring because the car weighs so little that it was when I put the car on the ground, it was like up like this. So I had to pull one of the leaves out of each side, one of the long leaves out of each side. It's got an air shock on the right side. It's got a 3-way adjustable drag shock on the left side. No pinion snubber. The front clamps, the front springs are clamped. Rears are not clamped. It's got the stock 6-cylinder torsion bars in it. It's really basic.
We have like 10 minutes,
Okay.
I think. Oh no, we're over. Oh well, we started late.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we started late. Let's see. Connor Barkley says, Uncle Tony, have you ever ran a Predator variable Venturi carburetor?
Never run a Predator.
Plan Z is terribly slow.
Yes.
Yes.
It's excruciatingly slow.
Let's see. Danny Boyd says he's drunk. Okay.
Thank you
Rubber
for sharing
carbs.
that.
Rubber carbs on each cylinder could help make more power.
No.
No, he says.
No.
Inject it, Nubs with Gun says.
No.
Okay. James says, are there, not your brother, a different James, James Halloran, are there any big differences between the Aussie 6s and the Americans?
Yes. Yeah, the Aussie 6s have a canted valve combustion chamber. A much bigger bore. It's apples to oranges. The Aussie 6 is very, very similar to the Jeep 6, to the 4-liter.
Joe K, did you and Steve Maggs write for the same magazines?
At different times, yes.
I have low battery.
Okay.
You better wrap it up.
Okay, go until the battery drops dead.
Are we gonna like
Yeah.
it's pretty low.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we wrote for the same magazines, but at different times. I was ahead of Steve by a couple of years.
Randy Singer says Plan Z will turn into a legend when you're done. Wonder if MGM will pick up your story. Yeah, I highly doubt that. Wrap it up, B. Funny. Is it true about the Black Ghost Challenger Shaker Hood story? Mike Bartley is asking.
I don't know anything about a lawsuit. What I do know is that they had on the Challengers there was a problem with the Challenger Shaker hood, the hood itself, not the bubble. They didn't have that problem with the Cudas. They did have it with the Challengers. So the initial run of Hemi Challengers came with the twin scoop hood, and then mid-year they went to the 6-pack hood. They used the 6-pack hood on the TA hood, the TA hood on the Hemi cars, and then they brought the shaker back. And I think at that point, if you had requested a shaker, they gave you one to retro on the cars.
Let's see. Brett McIntyre, maybe make Plan Z a ghost car to make millions. Maybe. Let's see. The old Staten Island stories are the best. It was great to be young and insane. William Kavanaugh says.
There was a lot of insane, William.
A lot of insane.
There's a lot of insane.
Like, seriously, how are we not dead? I don't know. Like, really, like,
I don't know. I don't
There are
know.
many times like that would be like if my kids are doing that, but think about like our granddaughters doing that. Oh my God. Just no way.
I don't know. I had the both of them work on a ratchet today.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
fun.
great.
Yeah, everything's gonna go dead in a few minutes. um, Good night, Dodge Boy 5150. New York, Philly, Jersey, etc. had the best street racing the world will ever see. People think Detroit, but nope.
I believe that only because I was there, and I know Detroit. I know the Detroit scene was hot. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They had a lot of very sophisticated stuff in Detroit, but the stuff that was happening in the tri-state area, right, and in New York, because like Detroit had a couple of spots. We had all five boroughs and Jersey and around us and Long Island and stuff. There was so much racing going on everywhere all the time. It was insane. I mean, I guess I wasn't in Detroit, but I was in New York, and I cannot imagine more racing going on than what we had happening during that period of time.
Mm.
Not saying it's not possible, but I can't imagine it.
Well, population density. There's a lot of people in New York.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people in that area.
and a lot of landscape.
And a lot of landscapes. So
Right.
like there was gonna be a lot of racing there.
We raced 7 nights a week. Like there was, even in the snow, really. But I mean, we raced 7 nights a week, and you could run it. You could run 2 or 3 different places any of those nights, and there would always be something going on somewhere.
Let's see. I wish I'd been there. I'm 4 years behind you, Tony.
It was great. I wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world.
Let's see. I think Ari's gonna go on.
Oh, okay. So
Everybody's gonna go over to Ari's.
yeah, if you guys
after
want to
the
keep
time.
hanging out, go over to Ari DeBernia's channel, and that's it. Let's pull the plug. I'm
Yeah,
tired now.
because I'm running out of battery.
Yeah. All right, so guys, everybody contributed super chat. Thank you so much. It all goes to a good place. It keeps the wheels turning, right? Everybody contributed just with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. We appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough, right? You are the people who make it possible for us to do this. And, what can
How
I say?
much would it suck if we didn't have like people getting on chat and like supporting what we do? Like,
I don't know if it would suck, but
It would suck.
it's definitely helps.
it helps a lot.
Yes. Ari, Zero, Fubar, guys, as always, thank you so much. And I think that's it, right?
I think that's
I think
it.
it's out. So Thursday night, we'll be together with Kiwi, 7 o'clock, for question and answer, right? Or tech question and answer. We try to keep it to tech. Try to keep this one social, kind of, and try to keep that one kind of like tech, right? And I guess that's it.
Yeah. Thank
Right.
you, everybody.
Yes. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Make it go away. Make it stop.
It's going away.
Make it stop.
It's going.